So, welcome back to Heard Tell. I have missed you. And if you've noticed, I haven't been working a whole lot except for some very limited stuff. I haven't been doing YouTube, the Substack. I haven't been writing much. I've done some media stuff that's easy to do, some radio hits that I normally do, a few quick television things. But I haven't been doing a lot of long form content. I haven't been doing a lot of things. And I wanted to address why, because it's also an important issue that affects a lot of other people. I'm fine. I know a lot of people fuss over my health because I've been very public about my own health issues, but I'm okay for right now. We go back to Duke to do some things here into the month. We'll see how those things go, but I'm actually in about as good a health as I've been in quite some time. Things are good. New drugs working. It's not me. It's other people. And the title of this video is Me and 63 Million Other Americans for a reason. I have had to do some home caregiving to some family members, my children's maternal grandparents. Without getting into all their business, because I don't want to put it all out there, he's older and retired. He's in the early stages of dementia, along with other health issues that he's had. He had a fall at home, which is not uncommon for people with his situation. Blood pressure related. He's had already had a heart attack and had heart surgery and things like that. Blood pressure dropped, went down on the concrete, busted his head, got a lame breed, all that. It was okay. It's been about a week in the hospital. He came home, but the day after he came home, she, who was going to take care of him, fell and shattered her ankle badly, spiral fracture, displaced tibia, fibia, all that good stuff. Long rehab, long recovery. He's already had that surgery. So with both of them laid up, family has to come in and help everybody out. So I was doing a day shift where during the days I would go over there and help them out and do everything that needed to be done and run appointments and all that good stuff, medication, fetch, carry, food, meds, run errands, all that good stuff. Now, I'm not telling you that for any other reason than this. 63 million Americans are doing this right now. And you can figure out what the ratio percentage of that is in a country of 330 million people. It's quite a bit. It's probably a higher number than that because a lot of people just do it without reporting it, or people live as multi-generational families in the same house anyway, and you just do it, and it doesn't become a reportable stat. I know I grew up in a very large family. My Aunt Mary lived right beside us up yonder when Uncle Art came down with Alzheimer's through the last years of his life. I don't know if they ever reported to anybody. We just took care of it because my other aunts and uncles, we all lived within walking distance of each other. Everybody's always up yonder. Everybody just pitched in and helped out as needed. Things like that, people don't report it a lot. But that number, more than 18% of those folks are caring for more than one person. This is an issue that I wanted to bring up, not just because I'm doing it and it affects my content. I wanted to make sure you folks knew why I wasn't working as much as I'm working, because I'm doing that. I'm at their house all the time, so I don't have my, the normal equipment that I do this stuff on, my laptop, the lighting and all that. If you see me doing TV hits and the background's different, it's probably because I tried to do it over there. I've tried to limit it, but I've done one or two little things over there. Radio, I can do pretty much anywhere on the phone nowadays. The technology is so good. So we're blessed to do that. But I wanted to let you know why. And I want you to be aware, if you're not somebody that's caring for a family member, more and more people are having to do this. We're having a healthcare discussion about things like subsidies, how much health insurance costs. Health insurance in America is almost always tied to people's work, which means retirees and elderly people usually end up on the short end of the stick on that. Medicare, Medicaid is always going to get jerked around politically. The costs are astronomical, even if you have coverage. And then you have the situation like they are having that I'm helping take care of. She was planning on retiring at the end of this year. They paid off their house recently. They paid off their bills. They're planning to retire, get their bills down. And now they have all these excessive medical bills that are going to be astronomically more expensive going forward. And they know that. Not only that, because she got injured, she's got to readjust when she's going to retire because she has to do short-term disability and things like that. And that affects when she can retire, and she has to work out a certain ways with her company like that. These are issues that people deal with all the time. And too often talking heads, which I'm one of, I'm guilty too, and news media and social media that is obsessed with the character of the day and trends and this and that, and even policy wonks who really get into the minutia of this stuff, we lose the people focus of these issues. That there's a lot of people whose productivity, whose lives, whose ability to care for their own family, their own children, their own spouses, whatever, their ability to function at their own jobs is greatly affected because they have to take care of a loved one. And the messier the healthcare situation in America gets, the worse this is going to get, because more and more people are going to have to care. One statistic that I pulled up was that, it costs roughly for home care about 20,000 a year, whereas if you put somebody in a full-time facility, you're easily into the mid six figures, easily. And a lot of times that's even with insurance. I know my aunt passed away this past year. She was in hospice. She was a lifelong nurse. Her daughter's a nurse. So we knew all the ins and outs of it. And even with that, we were like, wow, it's just amazing what pops up and what expenses arise. If you've never cared for a family member or a loved one who's very ill or injured or whatever, but you have to care for them for a considerable amount of time, it changes absolutely every aspect of your life. Now, this is not me complaining. I want to be very clear. I am blessed to be able to do this. I'm able to be free during the day to take care of people. I can work as needed. I have other streams of income. I'm blessed to be able to help people that I can. I was blessed to be able to be the at-home parent during COVID. So I'm not complaining. I just want folks to be aware that there's a lot of people that aren't like me that have the ability to just not work consistently for weeks on end. A lot of people have to work and care for somebody. I remember when my grandfather on my dad's side, my father's father, when he was in poor health and then eventually did die, my dad would work all day and then go over there and spend all night with granddad and then get up and do it again. If you've never done that, it grinds you to the nub. It is excruciating. It's also precious moments that you don't regret. You're glad you do it. You're glad you get those moments and those times with those folks, but it takes a toll mentally, physically, especially emotionally. It's hard, especially when you're dealing with parents and loved ones who are at the end of life or elderly, or they have something like a dementia, or they have, my uncle a couple of years ago died of Parkinson's, most active, athletic, outgoing, traveled the world, climbed all the mountains, jumped off bridges, crazy man that we loved to our death. And he died of Parkinson's, and Parkinson's just ravages your body down to nothing. A lot of people have cancer. You see what that happens to people. A lot of people have all sorts of ailments, and just good old fashioned age will wear you down. I did this 2 years ago. My father had a stroke, and I had to help him with his rehab, and I basically moved back in the house for 4 months because my dad takes care of my mom. And when dad couldn't drive and couldn't function, whatever, mom's limited on what she could do, and we had to take care of them. That's also tough conversations in family dynamics. The parents need the kid to take care of stuff, and that can be awkward, and you can have some pretty blunt conversations about that. And but we all love each other, and you get through it. And I told my dad, I was like, you can stand up, make me leave, we'll do it your way. Until then, we're going to do it this way. And we laugh about it now, but there was some tough spots in there. And for older people who have always been very self-dependent and very prideful, and rightfully so, they've lived long lives, they've worked hard, they're proud of their house, they're proud of where they live, they're proud of their accomplishments. It's hard to ask for help, and you have to navigate those human dynamics. So when you see these things as policy discussions, understand there's a lot of human element to this that doesn't get talked about because it doesn't fit on a TikTok, and it doesn't fit in a 3-minute talking head segment, and it doesn't fit into legislation. You're not going to fix this legislatively. This is just a life problem. But granted, I have a different perspective on it too, because if you don't already know my story, I've written about this publicly, I've talked about it publicly, but just a short recap. When I was 36, I had to be cared for. I was in the hospital for months and months. I had home health nurses when I was home because I was still on feeding tubes and things like that. That tube is very short. I had to basically sit on the end of the couch with my little pole and my feeding tube and sit there until I got off 24-hour feedings and I could go to overnights and then I could move around a little bit. I voted in the 2016 election. I voted holding the travel bag for the thing, which was funny because, talk about your awkward moments. You learn about things and learn about like why, Americans with Disability Acts really matters for things like voting stations, because I was having trouble standing up. I had to be cared for. The nurses had to do everything for me when I was in the hospital bed because I could not move. I had to rehab. And before that, when I had to rehab my TBI, the whole right side of your body doesn't work. Your mouth doesn't work. Your face looks funny. People look, people stare. You got to learn how to do all that. I went back to work, military environment. I went back to work with my right arm still postured across the front of my chest for several weeks before we finally got it straight. I had to hold that stupid little squeezy ball. So I've been through this a couple times in my life, so maybe I'm a little more empathetic to it, and I understand what's involved. But then when I had to help my dad rehab, I'm like, Dad had right side paralysis from his stroke. I'm like, I know exactly what we're going to do. I've done it. I know how to communicate it with it. I've been there. Let's go. And he worked his tail off. He worked really, really hard on it. But TikTok does not show things like rehab. They don't show occupational therapy. They don't show speech therapy. They don't show the elderly couple who have always took care of each other, trying to figure out how to bend over and get something from a low place or reach up and get something from a high place. For a human being who has driven all their life, not being able to drive themselves is traumatic. That you can't just get in the car and go somewhere. That changes people. That changes their lifestyle. It changes how they think. These are things that don't get in the headlines when we talk about healthcare or family dynamics or economics, because it is extraordinarily expensive. Most working people, if you have to put a loved one in full-time care for any reason, you can't afford it. You're going to have to sell your house or mortgage your house to do it. If you own your house, you don't own your house, you're going to go into massive debt if you can even do that. These are things that don't get discussed. So while I've been away and we kind of hopefully start working a little bit more, I want to highlight this because this is the stuff that doesn't trend. It doesn't get a lot of attention, but it's real life stuff for a whole lot of real life people. And it doesn't have a quick political fix. I don't care what your political party is or who your candidate is. If they say they're going to be able to fix this, that's not true. Now, there's things they can do to help it. Obviously, healthcare in the United States of America is a jumbled mess because we keep piecemealing it and kicking the can down the road instead of dealing with the issues. We'll pick that up some other time. But mostly, it's always going to come down to us taking care of each other and taking care of those who cannot take care of themselves. And if you're blessed enough to have family that can do that, if you have a large family or you just have a really good friends network, whether that's friends, your church or wherever you worship, a civic organization, some companies are really good with taking care of their people when they get sick. A lot of them aren't. A lot of them are bad, but some of them are really good taking care of their people. If you have the ability to do that, great. But you need to tell that story and let people know so other people are inspired to also help out those friends, families, acquaintances, things like that who may not have a resource, and then try to find them resources. And then when we start talking politics and policy and elections and things like that, now you can advocate from not only a place of an ideology or whatever you believe is the right thing to do, you have some lived experience to talk about it in a human way of like, yes, this is expensive. You know what? When you start talking about preventative care and taking care of yourself, that ties into end of life care. When you start talking about end of life care, that starts talking about things like taxes and the state taxes and healthcare taxes. All this stuff goes together. And one of our big problems is we always want to talk about these things piecemeal. But when you're taking care of another human being and you're responsible for them, you start understanding very quickly this stuff all goes together. And just voting for somebody or your political party or hearing what you want to hear on your news feed or social media feed, that ain't where it's at. We're all in this together, and your family, a bunch of families make up a community, a bunch of communities make up a state or a local municipality, which makes up a country, which makes up a world. Yeah, we're all in it together. And too many people doing home health care and caregiving for loved ones think they're all alone. And that's on us to make sure that's not true. So that's why I wanted to talk about this today. You're not alone. If you're doing that, a lot of us are doing it. And a lot of us need to do a better job of it. And the one reason I would implore all of you, whatever your age or situation is, to understand is the chances are at some point in your life, if it hasn't happened already, you will need somebody to take care of you or a loved one of yours. And you want to make sure somebody's there for them, whether it's you or somebody else. So pay it forward is a little bit trite. I don't like to do sloganeering here, but it's true. I've already had somebody have to take care of me. I'm probably going to need somebody to take care of me in the future. And I'm fortunate I have family. I think I have that. I think I will have that. I have enough children, at least one of them will probably help take care of me, hopefully. But we need to talk about it and we need to advocate for it. And it doesn't need to get bogged down in a lot of policy minutia of let's take care of people. Let's figure out how to get people economically successful so they can keep their own money and take care of themselves. And then let's find a way for those that can't do that to get them a little bit of help without tearing everybody apart and getting into the politics of the day about it. Is that a pipe dream? Probably. But when you're taking care of somebody, you just want the help. And we can do a little bit better incrementally. That might actually make some great change down the road in the future. 63 million Americans and me are doing home caregiving. If that's you, let us know. We'd love to hear about it and amplify your story. If it's not, there's somebody, friend, family, community that needs a little bit of help, whether it's just taking them a meal, helping them take their trash out, picking up their mail. You never know. Jump in, help out. Many hands make light work in all things. Let's take better care of each other.
All the music on Her Tell is provided under a Creative Content license from monstercat.com.
Somos la banda.